All right, well, welcome to not that you know this, but take two because I'm a fucking idiot and I didn't record the audio for our buddy Jake over here. So, in this video, we're going to talk about Jake Paul and the backlash he's getting from the YouTubers and this idea he's perpetuating about financial freedom and this movement. And I want to say, at the core, he is correct about this idea. However, he is misinformed, just like many people, but that doesn't make his ideas any less, important. And you could argue, does intention matter? It does to a degree, but if people can become happy from this, then that's great. I think that he is just not the intellectual thought leader that we need, and I don't think selling a class on how to create this movement is going to help anybody. It's just a scam. It's like those people that motivational speakers. It's just kind of like that, and it's a load of shit. And the truth is, Jake, that if everybody was in the 1% like you, well, granted, America is the 1%, but if anybody was in the 1% of the 1% like you, there would be no such thing as the 1%. There would be no such thing as the poor from the wealthy. However, I don't think most people want that exorbitant amount of wealth that you have. Maybe they do. I know I don't. I just want to make enough money to be comfortable and to provide for my children and family. And I think that in order to achieve that, there have to be some changes in society. And I don't think it's going to happen with our generation. I think it will happen with Gen Z and the generation after that. I don't know what they're called. But he talks about this idea of college. We're going to break that down, and millennials being entitled. And we're going to look into all that a little bit. So let's just get started. Well, let's watch the whole video because it's pretty short, and then we're going to break it down.
They say we're entitled and lazy. They tell us to go to college, get a job, retire at 65. How's that working out for us? Are your parents happy? Are they living the life they wanted? There's over $1 trillion in student loan debt and people with outdated education who can't even get a job for the student loans they took out that now haunt them for life. Maybe we're too young to have experienced this yet, but if you're not, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I've had enough of it. Our generation is better than this. We deserve better. We're smarter. So what's the solution? We need to create a movement for our generation, one that inspires people to take action to achieve their dreams, not the dreams our parents have for us or our society. We need a movement that inspires people to live life on their terms, not someone else's. A movement that anyone who's courageous enough to follow can have a much higher chance of becoming financially free from the societal cookie-cutter 9-to-5 jobs we are all told to have. Our future is in our hands. Are you with me?
Okay, I just want to say it's really bothering me that he has like stock footage mixed with his footage, and his shit's shot on like a 4K camera, but then some of the stock footage is like 1080 and none of the color correction matter. It's annoying. Not that I know how to fix it. It's obvious. So, where do we start first?
They say at the beginning. We're entitled and lazy.
Okay, it's not that millennials are necessarily lazy, but there is a level of entitlement that comes with millennials. Look at our generation, crying over not using the correct pronouns, crying because you say something that's slightly offensive, and we have trigger warnings in safe spaces. There is a severe level of entitlement with our generation. Is it amongst everybody? Of course not. But that's associated with the millennial generation. Excuse me. And it's due to the fact that we were born in extreme comfort. We were born of the baby boomer generation. They grew with the economy. They went to college. They got the job, retired at 65 job, like he says, 9 to 5. And they did well. So they are just telling us to do what worked for them. However, there's been a pretty drastic shift in this generation, and it's not really working out for us. And since everybody was told to go to college, well, now they're doing it, and it's just things aren't working out, and we'll get to why in a second. But I just want to say I know a lot of millennials, a lot of them are lazy, and it's because they had everything handed to them. You know, baby boomer parents are super nice parents. They're all cushy. They want to give everything. You know, I still have fights with my mom where if I haven't talked to her for a while, she'll call me and she'll be like, "Do you need any money?" Like, I don't think her dad ever did that to her. I don't know where that came from.
They tell us to go to college, get a job, retire at 65. How's that working out for us? Are your parents happy? Are they living the life they wanted? There's over $1 trillion.
All right, most parents are happy. I know the divorce rate's really high, but that's because of a change in the law where it allowed there to not be an actual reason to get divorces anymore. Before, you used to have a reason like this person beats me or this person cheats me, but then they changed the law to where it could just be it's like a no fault law. So don't put the divorce rate in the video, Jake. There's a change in the fucking law, and it made it easier for people to get out of being married if they didn't want to be. Then he talks about telling us to go to college and getting the 9 to 5, and he's about to say
there's over $1 trillion in student loan debt and people with outdated education who can't even get a job.
Okay. So, this is true, but it's misleading. Why is it true? Well, the student loan debt levels are out of control. I have student loan debt. You know, I'm in college right now. However, the student loan debt is really high because people are taking out, people are taking out exorbitant amounts of debts. People are taking out high levels of debt to go to gender studies, to go to psychology, to go to sociology, to go to all these degrees that don't make a lot of money. Okay? Now, I'm not saying you can't make a lot of money as a social worker or a psychologist. You can. But when you go to, transgender studies or women's studies or African American studies, I'm not saying that shit isn't important. If that's important to you and your culture and your life and it's going to benefit you in some way, then do it. Study it, learn it, whatever. But, most history majors go on to become lawyers. Most bio majors go on to become doctors. Most psychology majors go on to get master's in or a PsyD. There are paths that education are specifically designed and catered to. If you're going for Chicano studies or Asian American studies, and then you want to go work at Chase Bank as a branch manager, well, they're not going to hire you. Why? Because you have no experience. You didn't go to internships to work in banking. You didn't meet anybody in the banking industry. You studied oppression and all these things that are just not going to help you in the job market. So people get into UCLA because their dad said, you got to go to the best college. You got to get straight A's. And then they take out $300,000 for gender queer studies, and they can't fucking do anything with that degree. What are you going to do with that? You can't do anything with it. Okay? So, and not to be rude or anything, but the student debt is held largely by women, and women tend to not choose STEM field. So the doctors, the scientists, the biologists, and mathematicians are primarily male, and they end up paying their debt off because they get a career in those fields that are lucrative enough to pay off their debt. But the people, sorry ladies, this is just the data, who go to gender studies and African American studies, they're primarily women because they're more interested in the cultural and social aspect of things, and that's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't pay as much, okay? And that's one reason why the student loan debt crisis is happening. You could also talk about the inflation of college prices and books and how they're cornering the market and tricking us with advertisement and cultural, subliminal messages and blah, blah, blah. You could talk about whatever you want. There's lots of reasons for it, but what he's talking about, in my opinion, is our parents said, you know what, Sally, you got to go to college. And then we go to some stupid major that doesn't do anything. And we just think college equals job. Well, it doesn't. And the college market is saturated with students. And that's why the STEM fields are so difficult and not many people go or even get into it because it's hard. But when you're just going for, gender studies and you want to take out a loan, well, the bank knows that they have you by the balls and you're just fucked. So what's the answer? Not Jake Paul. He does have a point though, right? How do we get people to live financially free? Well, we start by teaching parents that, and I'm going to be doing this when I have children, college is not the fucking answer. If you want to go to college to become a doctor, like I said, or a lawyer or a mathematician, or maybe even you want to become a teacher or a professor, that's all great. But the nest egg that I would be saving for my children is not going to be for college. It's going to be for whatever their future entails. I'm not going to send them to college because they are told to by society. No, if they want to, I will support them. But it could be to start a business. It could be to, fund a book they want to write. Or maybe they're a really talented actor or musician and they want to take that money and go to California. Well, it's their fucking money that I'm saving for them. Hopefully we can mutually agree upon it, but I doubt it because they're going to be like an 18-year-old little brat. However, that's just one part of where we need to start. And then other parents need to do that. And we have to have a cultural shift to show that college is not important. It's a joke. Unless you want to be trained in a highly specific and integral field that is going to do better for millions of people, aka a doctor or something, you don't need to go. You can go to trade school and be a plumber or an electrician or whatever. And those guys are making bank right now because nobody's doing the work. So he's right. The whole 9-to-5 thing is stupid. And granted, most people work 9 to 5 even when they are financially free. It's just when you can do what you want, it's better. When you don't have $200,000 looming over your head, that is a much better way to live than paycheck to paycheck. I agree. Most people don't have the tenacity to do this, Jake. They don't. Excuse me. Most people want to be told what to do. They're not go-getters. They're not self-starters. Jake is in the minority here. And so are a lot of entrepreneurial types. It's hard to fail and then get back up and try again. So people would rather just do what they're told to do. I'm struggling with this right now. I want to drop out of college and I want to focus on creating music and videos and stuff, but I also have people in my life that I don't want to let down. I'm in a 5-year relationship, and if I just quit everything I'm doing to start on a channel with 185 subs, well, that looks pretty selfish, doesn't it? Because going to college and getting a career is a safe bet. But you have to go to a degree that actually is going to benefit you and society, not just learning about, how whites hate every other race and America is evil.
For the student loans they took out that now haunt them for life. Maybe we're too young to have experienced this yet, but if you're not, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I've had enough of it. Our generation is better than this. We deserve better. We're smarter. So,
all right, notice that he says we deserve better and we're smarter. But at the beginning, he says,
they say we're entitled and lazy.
But we deserve better and we're smarter, but they say we're entitled? What are you talking about? We're not entitled. We're smarter and we're better than you. Jesus Christ, Jake. Where was it? Here?
We deserve better. We're smarter. So what's the solution? We need to create a movement for our generation.
He's right.
That inspires people to take action to achieve their dreams. Not the dreams our parents have for us or our society.
He's right. We need to draw boxes on a piece of paper and figure out exactly what our future entails.
We need a movement that inspires people to live life on their terms, not someone else's. A movement that anyone who's courageous enough to follow can have a much higher chance of becoming financially free from the societal, cookie-cutter, 9-to-5 jobs we are all told to have. Our future is in our hands. Are you with me?
He's right. He's right. It sucks being a follower. However, not everybody is a leader. If everyone's a leader, then there are no followers, so you can't build a business. Could you imagine if Steve Jobs wasn't there to lead Apple? It would have just dissolved like it was for the last couple of years until Tim Cook finally got it together. However, what I'm trying to basically say is, if I started a business and then I got a team together, are they followers? You know, or are they believing in something bigger than themselves? Like, are we a team that's pushing towards a goal? Because you need groups of, it's a give and take. You need groups of people in order to expand and grow. Like with you, Jake, you have Team 10. Are they just a bunch of following losers? I would argue, yes, they are. But at the same time, you have this house that you bring in new content creators to help them grow their channels and become successful. That's a business. They are following you and not living life on their terms. They're living life on your terms. And I understand that's what you're trying to sell to people, but it's not as easy as that. Logically, it is. It is logically easy. Stop what you're doing. Go do what you want. I get it. But as humans, we are complex beings that have multiple layers, and you can't just always drop what you're doing in order to follow your dreams. There are other things at stake. And sometimes doing that thing to make yourself ultimately happy, or what you think will make you happy, it may not make you happy, and then it could be the most selfish decision that you've ever made in your life. And like I said, Jake, you are correct. 9-to-5 college bullshit, it's a load of shit. The boomers were wrong, but they didn't know. It's not their fault. They didn't know. They loved us so much that they said, you know what? You got to go to college. That's what I did. But that was when it meant something. It doesn't mean anything now. Now you can go to fucking school for, let's see. Let's look up most ridiculous college majors. Adventure education, astrobiology, auctioneering, bagpiping, bakery science, Beatles, popular music and society, bowling industry management and technology, citrus. What? Students learn about planting. Oh, that actually sounds kind of cool. Florida, obviously. Canadian studies. Oh, hi. At Duke? This is what I'm talking about. These prestigious universities, they have everything you would ever want to study ever, and then they charge you $400,000 for it. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Sure, it's anecdotal, but doesn't make it any less true. These are all nice universities. Farrier science, family enterprise, fermentation, floral management, nannying. What? Let's see. What is this? Sullivan University. Cost of tuition at Sullivan University. Okay. That's not terrible. My school is about $8,000 a year, which is a lot in my opinion. See, sexuality studies. Oh, great. My Ohio State. That's where I'm from. This is just what I'm fucking talking about. Are any of these things bad? Of course not. But all I have to do if I want to learn how to bagpipe is go like this. Did it. How much did that cost me and how much time did that take? Oh, about 1 minute or 1 second and free, except for my internet and the computer. So for $1,000 with a computer and internet, you can practice bagpiping and go buy a bagpiping or a bagpipe set and learn something. But this idea that we're perpetuating is just so stupid. Don't go to college if you can't benefit society. If you want to learn something for fun and you have the money, sure, go to college. I don't care. But if you're going to take $300,000 in debt for bakery science, or I'm sure that's not $300,000, but let's see, how much does Duke cost? Duke tuition. $70,000 for I'm assuming that's a year, for the academic year. 4 years is $300,000, $28,000, and that was for Canadian studies. Why would you do that? So you're right, Jake, but you're also wrong. And this is his site. It basically just has, sponsors, I guess, and another link to play the video and to join. Talking about creating a movement, talks about the speakers he has. It's just a load of materialistic bullshit. That's the problem, is he's perpetuating materialism. He's not perpetuating the idea of actually living financially free. What would make you happy to live financially free? To be able to pay your mother's hospital bills and not worry about how you're going to put food on the table. To be able to afford that engagement ring for your girlfriend that you've been wanting to, but you can't because you're in debt up to your asshole. Like, those are the types of things that make people happy. Being able to just drop everything and go take a vacation because shit's stressful. Like, that's what people want when they talk about financially free. Owning something that's theirs. Owning a piece of the American pie. Who is this for? What? People believe that education requires a massive amount of debt. Oh my God, that's so stupid. I mean, again, there's a kernel of truth in everything he's saying. It's just, it's surrounded by a giant turd. This is exactly who this is for. People who are looking for a magic pill. That's what you're selling, Jake, is the idea of this magic pill. They're going to pay you, a couple $100. You're going to get 100,000 people to sign up and you're going to make $1 million. And the thing is, Jake, the thing that separates you and me from one another, and this is one of my biggest faults and it's one of your biggest strengths, is you just do shit. I think about it all the time and I never take action. And that's my biggest downfall. It really is. As I always think about the consequences and the repercussions and who I'm going to hurt and how is it worth it? And you just went and did it. So that's why you're an anomaly. And all the people on YouTube who are complaining about you, I think it's a load of shit because you're actually doing something. And you know what? I was saying the same thing about iJustine when she did her little vlog university. It's the same shit you're doing. You're trying to sell a magic pill to people, but what you're really selling is false hope. And that I don't like. I don't like that. But the thing is iJustine, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, these cookie cutter YouTuber idiots, they're doing something right because people like it and they're paying money for it. And I appreciate and I have admiration for their strengths and how far they've come. And I appreciate how hard they work. It's incredible. And there's truth in this financial freedom, but you don't have to mislead people in order to perpetuate a movement. We just need to speak the truth. And this is not it.